Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today we're talking about the Baltimore Regional that happened this past weekend. Normally, I don't cover regional tournaments because, well, I don't really cover any tournaments outside of the World Championship. I talk about decks that are played in tournaments in general, but usually not specific tournaments, right? Because normally they're kind of boring. But then I looked at the metagame for this tournament, and wow, this was pretty interesting. The top four is pretty boring. We got a Gardevoir list, a couple of Lugia lists, and a Roaring Moon EX list. Nothing super crazy there. I just kind of glanced at them. I looked at all the top eight lists, except for the sixth place, or no, was this, yeah, the sixth place list, which I just took a quick glance at. And yeah, this is Ogerpon and Noivern, specifically Cornerstone Mask, Ogerpon EX, and, wait, is this Cornerstone Mask, Ogerpon EX? Anyway, yeah, I don't actually know what the different ogre punts look like. I think that's the grass one. Anyways, so TMS Ogre Pun, or sorry, Cornerstone Mask Ogre Pun is a really strong wall Pokemon, and we'll talk about that deck. But there were some other interesting things. The ninth place deck was Palkia Dusknoir. We have Snorlax Pidgeot here at 10th, and then some more Snorlax. Nothing super crazy here outside of the Ogre Pun Noivern and the Palkia um, Dustone deck, which is definitely one that's pretty interesting. It's not like brand new, but it is a deck that is pretty cool, I think, and one that I haven't really seen too much talk about. I've certainly seen it. I've played it a little bit. I might have played against it some, but we'll talk about that list there. And there are some results for the juniors and seniors. Nothing too crazy here. We have yeah, no, it's pretty normal stuff here. We got like Lugias and Raging Bolts and Charizards and Richie Dracos and stuff. But here we can take a look at the metagame. We have, Rigid Draco V-Star, the most played deck. One thing I do want to say, well, two things. One, this is in the Shrouded Fable format, not the Stellar Crown format. We'll be talking about Stellar Crown tournaments in, one more day. Limitless, I will say, at the time of recording this, and certainly when this video is out, you can see the online tournaments. You can see the decks for Stellar Crown, but you can see there's only 5 tournaments here, and they're all really small. This is because deck lists and the Stellar Crown cards weren't actually added to the Limitless database for a few days, for like 2 days. So they are here now. Also, other is you can see here we got like Trapco's EX, which is obviously it's if you know anything about the set, this is the big new deck, and it's classified under other here, and it might be classified under Pidgeot Control. That's not that deck, but this is also not. I don't know. This is not Pidgeot control really, but it kind of is. But then I imagine we can find ourselves a deck that's yeah. This is definitely not Pidgeot control. This is definitely Trapghost EX, and yeah, this is also Trapghost. So Trapghost is getting miscategorized there, but hopefully Limitless will add in some more deck categorizations. But I'll talk about that probably in tomorrow's video. But the top deck was Regidraco V-Star. In terms of cards, I guess I should look at cards. It doesn't play anything too crazy. I will say Noivern EX, which isn't in any of these lists unless I'm missing it, is a really good card against Terrapagos, though. Noivern EX, it's not in auto win. What it does is it walls basic Pokemon or it walls special energy in stadiums. Both of these are good against the Terrapagos EX deck. If you're able to get all your opponent's special energy out of the board, then you can win the game. I was up against a Regidraco V-Star deck, and they were able to do this against me. They used both attacks. I made some misplays. I maybe could have won, but yeah, Noivern EX is really good in that matchup, as well as against other decks. I do think it is a solid attacker in Regidraco V-Star. Not played super commonly in the deck, but I do think it is good, especially with Stellar Crown. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. It doesn't look like I don't play this deck that much, but it looks pretty normal. Of course, we have some more niche cards here at the bottom, but no one's thinking oh, Pokestop in Draco. That's absolutely insane. I mean, it's not usually played, but it is, just a card that sees play. Lugia Archeops here, similar idea, nothing too crazy. We got the Wellspring Mass Ogerpon EX. Some people putting in Light Energy. We have Resilience Backup. That's kind of a cool tech to recover special energy, which could be useful in various situations. Then we also have Ancient Box, one card that I think is really, really good for the deck, which isn't actually in any of these lists. No, it is. It's in some of them. Peck Run EX is a good card. It's one of the new additions. We also have Fezidipti EX, which is a nice new addition. We do see a lot playing Walking Wake, but some play Koraidon. We got a couple of Great Tusks. Great Tusks making an appearance as a card that is really important to Ancient Box, as sometimes even a 4 of, which is really interesting. This one plays 2 Cornerstone Mass Ogre Upon EX. So that's pretty interesting. I haven't looked too much at the decks though, but that's an interesting tech. Kerbalion like a bit of an interesting tech, but nothing like super crazy here. It's Ancient Box, right? Where you want to focus around Roaring Moon and do big damage with that. Charizard Pidgeot here, which is getting a nice buff with Briere. Briere is currently glitched in Pokemon TCG Live, allowing you to like take extra prizes with Dragapult EX on the bench, and I think Greninja EX as well, but it works exactly as intended for Charizard EX, and that's a nice addition. There are some other nice ones as well with the new set, but yeah, nothing too crazy here. We see Dusknoir line played, but not in all the lists, and you got some like interesting text like Magma Basin Binding Mochi to pair with the Hecarunt EX. Oh, okay, yeah, down here, and yeah, like Canceling Clone. Canceling Clone can help you out against Horstone Mass Ogre Pond EX and other things as well. Then we have Snorlax. Snorlax stall. It's really more of a control deck, I think, but it does have serious stall elements with Mimikyu and Cornerstone Master Ogre Upon EX. It's control stall deck, I should say. But you have Rotom V, Snorlax, pretty normal stuff. We do see Bloodmoon Ursa Luna EX, which is kind of interesting. We see Regieleki, that's not played super commonly in Northern EX, but we will talk about that a bit more later, not in this deck. You have Raging Bull Ogerpon, this deck is all over the ladder. Nothing super crazy here. Pretty much exactly what you'd expect for this deck, I feel like. I haven't looked at the specific lists, but it's a very common deck right now, and it's very good. Then we have Roaring Moon EX, and this one's pretty much what you expect as well. You have Dusknoirs in some lists, which are kind of interesting. That definitely catches my eye. Looks like it was in this list right here. It just played a relatively thin Dusknoir line with Darkrai V-Star. Dusknoir is a card, or like an evolution line you can tech in. Also, you do only need one Dusknoir to use both Dusk, or to use it twice, because you can have two Duskulls in play. It gets knocked out, but then you can recover it. And one thing I have heard a few people talk about is using Night Stretcher essentially as a search card, or kind of like a search card. It doesn't actually search for anything, but it recovers Pokemon or energy. But for this case, we're talking about Pokemon search, so it recovers a Pokemon from your disco pile into your hand. And you have lots of cards, well, I don't know, you have Pokestop, and then you have lots of, or at least some one of Pokemon. So if you discard Pokestop, or you just discard them, or it gets knocked out, then you can use Night Stretcher to get the Pokemon back and kind of like act as a Pokemon search card. It's not a Pokemon search card, but it kind of acts like it. Then we see in the next deck we got Gardevoir. Gardevoir is it's Gardevoir, right? So in Gardevoir things, you got your Drifloons and your Screamtails and your Fluttermanes and your Monkey and your Klefkis and stuff. So Gardevoir doing Gardevoir things with Unfair Stamp, or maybe now Secret Box. Secret Box definitely is not what I was expecting. Secret Box is like a solid ace spec though. Then we have Ogerpon Northern, which we'll talk about. We also have Pidgeot Control. Pidgeot Control, I might hop into these lists. Apparently Fire Energy is 0 cents. I did not know that. And then we also have a few more decks. We have Snorlax, Pidgeot. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Arceus, Dusknoir, Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns looks pretty boring here, so that's fine. Some play Dangerous Laser. Dangerous Laser is an ace spec that's actually seeing play. Not like that much. I've never actually seen anyone play this like on live ladder. Or I've actually never seen anyone play this in like actually watching game ever. But it's a card you can play apparently in this deck. Darkrai Dusknoir. Oh, this is like the Roaring Moon EX deck, but more focused on Dusknoir and Darkrai V-Star. And then what else? We got Palkia Dusknoir, which I definitely want to take a look at. I'll talk about that one. And then we have Charizard. I mean, there's a bunch of other decks. We have the Bayonet Dusknoir deck, Clawful Electrode, Goldengo, Arceus Armors, which I definitely want to take a look at. That's a deck I like. Charizard. I don't know exactly what this means. Looks like it is just a Charizard deck with Dusknoir and no Pidgeots. That's interesting, I guess. Then we have Miraidon, which, is this the only Miraidon deck? Okay. And, that's a pretty popular deck right now. Ursaluna Iron Valiant, that's certainly not something I was expecting. Dragapult Lost Zone and Chien-Pao. Dragapult Lost Zone is a pretty interesting deck in my opinion. I haven't played it too much recently, but you got in this format, which is not Shroud Fable, I feel like it might be the best way to play Dragapult, but that doesn't really matter too much right now because we got Sparkling Crystal, so that doesn't matter. Chimp Excalibur doing Chimp Excalibur things. We see a Palkia line tacked in, a couple of Cypher Maniacs code breaking, pretty nothing like super crazy. It's not exactly normal, I don't think. I mean, people don't play Chimp Excalibur that much. I'll pull up the Blood Moon Ursaluna Iron Valiant list. This deck, if you don't know, someone like commented and they were like, I haven't like heard of this deck. It's a deck where you have this Blood Moon Ursaluna, which does 100 damage, 30 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active, and it powers itself up on play from hand, though. So you're doing the energies in hand, so you get a bunch of earthen vessels and energy retrievals and stuff like that. So you can get the energies in your hand, then do big damage with the Iron Valiant or with Blood Moon Ursaluna after you've damaged your opponent with Iron Valiant EX. Then let's see, what else do we have? We have that's about it. Goldengo looking pretty normal. We got the Palkia line teched in here. But the decks I do want to talk about. First of all, we need to talk about Palkia Dusknoir. This deck looks really interesting. Oh, I did not look at this. Wow, this is even more interesting than I was thinking. Palkia Dusknoir. Okay, what is Limitless doing here? Why is Dusclops just like chilling behind the Palkia? Let me see if I can let this to look a little bit different. Okay, there we go. Now it's actually an evolution line. So Dusknoir, is a solid Pokemon, and Dusclops as well. You knock yourself out, put a bunch of damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. This is really interesting with Radiant Greninja or Greninja EX doing spread damage or snipe damage. Greninja EX with Mirage Barrage. Discard 2 energies from this Pokemon. Does 122 2-year points Pokemon. And we don't have any double turbo energies, so you're not reducing your damage. And by the way, if you do have a double turbo and you discard it, you still do reduced damage. I feel like a lot of people had questions about that. I feel like most of them have been answered by now, but just keep that in mind. Then you have the Radiant Greninja or the Greninja EX. Greninja EX is doing more damage, can hit fighting weakness, which is, I think, a little underrated. Right now, it's probably the best weakness to hit, and has Shinobi Blade, which does 170 for 1 and searches for any card. And of course, you are playing lots of rare candies. We see 4 rare candies for your Dusknoir line, as well as your Greninja EX, which is really interesting. Greninja EX is like kind of hard to search out because it's not a water Pokemon, so you can't. Well, I guess you don't play that many Iridas though. It only plays one Irida, which is kind of surprising. I mean, in terms of attackers, it doesn't have anything super obvious. It just has a couple of Palkias. It has the Greninja EX, Radiant Greninja, but those aren't necessarily sustainable attackers. I mean, yes, Greninja EX kind of is, but it's not what you're looking for in every matchup, especially because it does have, as a fighting Pokemon, it has a psychic weakness. Not all do, but like have to, and this one does. Then there's lots of support Pokemon as well. We see Blood Moon Ursaluna EX as well. One of the best cards in the game right now. It's just really good. Speaking of other great cards, specifically from Twilight, wait, was it Twilight Masquerade? Yeah, from Twilight Masquerade. What I said with the set release was the other best card, the second best card, or at least the second best Pokemon, was Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. And we see that with this Noivern Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. We had a few people playing that, so we can take a look at that. How do I take a look at this? This is, what's the deck called? Is it I guess it's Noivern something. That's not Index. There we go. Ogerpon Noivern, which 7 people played. We had a bunch of lists similar. I think this list was different. And so 621. And then this list is also different. So this list, the last place finishing list of these. Oh, what? It plays the other Noivern, the one that always comes up in searches. Okay, we'll take a look at this one first. No, we'll take a look at the one that was played by a bunch of people. Place the highest first. It is focused around 2 Pokemon, Noivern EX and Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Noivern EX here does 70 for 2 colorless, or I guess probably 50. Yeah, probably going to be hitting 50 here for 2 colorless, and then you do you're immune to basic Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. You have another attack, but you can't use it. Then you have Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX, which says prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability, and you can do 120 for fighting colorless with a double turbo, or you don't actually need the double turbo on. You probably have it, but if you don't, you can do 140. You do not hit weakness. You don't hit resistance, which is like nice against Pidgeot EX, but not hitting weakness is probably a bad thing. You probably rather hit weakness and resistance, but you do hit through effects on your opponent's Pokemon, which could be nice in certain situations. I guess it's good in the mirror. Then we also have one of the coolest cards in the game, I guess. A card that I like that's like not really played ever outside of this deck is Rock Chestplate. Yeah, it's not played in Japanese tournaments either. So the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to take 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. This is a card that I haven't played too much with, but it is fun. Taking 30 less damage is really solid. And so you can put this on your fighting Ogerpon and just tank a bunch of hits from Pokemon that, you're not taking hits from Charizard EX. Well, actually you could, but you're not. But that doesn't matter because they're not able to hit you. If your opponent comes in swinging with the Dragapult EX, you reduce the damage a little bit, which could be nice. Obudusu TM Turbo Energize, which can get two fightings on the Northern EX or Cornerstone Mass Ogerpon EX as well, so you're not doing the reduced damage with double Turbo Energy. We also see Mist Energy to prevent effects of attacks done to you. Existing effects are not removed, it says here, but then damage is also not an effect. That's something some people get confused about. It doesn't make you completely invincible, it just protects you from things like immediate knockouts from Pokemon that instantly knock you out, notably Roaring Moon EX, and will also protect you from something like Dragapult EX hitting you on the bench. But we also see Scoop Up Cycle, and this is maybe my favorite ace spec. I don't play it that much, but it's a fun card. You can play it in lots of different decks and get really unique value. Value. Okay. Apparently, it's not playing that many standard decks. This is the line. Yeah. Wait, no, this isn't the line. This is the line. Yeah. So one Regidrago and then a bunch of Ogerpon decks. We could take a look at it in Japanese standard decks. Wow, this is even weirder. What we're looking at Ceruledge with Drillbur that's not even out in English, and then what I'm just clicking around. If you don't know, I don't pre-plan my videos. But Scoop Up Cyclone is a pretty fun card, and we see it here allowing you to scoop up a Pokemon, kind of like Penny. It's an ace spec. Actually, it's not the same as Penny because you do have the Northern EX, so that could be useful. Also closest Tenacity gets pretty good value here, getting that special energy or any energy, as well as Town Store or Artizone as stadiums, which is that's pretty cool. Kind of turning it into the pseudo Arven card to get the tool, which is nice in this deck because it plays four different items, which is a bunch, not like absolutely insane, but a bunch, and that's pretty cool. Next, in this next list, we see it plays Cleffa, Pidgeot V, and Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, I mentioned earlier, allowing you to clean up knockouts. You also have Cleffa to draw your cards to get set up in the early game. It is Buddy Buddy Pop and searchable. There's only one in this list. Did the other list play any? It did also play one, and so you can Arven for that. And then Pidgeot V to stop you from decking out and to play Forest Steel Stone. I guess that's the main reason to get better value off of Arven here. Then this last list also plays Pidgeot V, plays Rotom V, plays Mimikyu. So I would not really call this a Noivern Ogerpon. Maybe it doesn't rely on Mimikyu that much, but anyways. Then we have the Noivern, the legendary Noivern. If you play Pokemon TCG Live, and you build decks in Live, you very well may know this card as the Radiant Pokemon. That's not a Radiant Pokemon because if you search up Radiant in Pokemon TCG Live, it shows, of course, all the Radiant Pokemon. If I search it here in Limitless, it'll show all the Radiant Pokemon, obviously. But if you search in live, it shows Pokemon with Radiant in the attack name, including this one. You cannot attack here with the second attack on either Noivern, but you can attack with the first attack, Radiant Hunt for 2 colors, instantly knock out one of your opponent's Radiant Pokemon. This is kind of funny. It allows you to snipe Radiant Pokemon and has some use cases. I'm not exactly sure why it's in the deck, but it's like a fun card, so definitely a cool one here. Useful in some situations. We see Patrol Cap. Wow, this card says it's a tool as long as it's attached to the Pokemon in the active. Cards in your deck can't be discarded by effects of your opponent's attacks, abilities, item cards, Pokemon tool cards, or supporter cards, which is pretty much everything. It doesn't stop stadiums, which is probably good because if it did, that would mean that if your opponent played Pokestop, you couldn't use their Pokestop, which obviously isn't really what you want to do because you have the option to use Pokestop. You'd always rather have the option. Although I don't know what every stadium is, so I don't know if there are stadiums that like attack your opponent in some manner, but or attack their deck, force them to discard it, or discard cards from it. And yeah, it's just a pretty interesting card, and it's a tool that doesn't see too much play either. It's a pretty weird one to be honest. Then we do see Secret Box. We see Double Thornton, Morty's Conviction, which I think is like an okay supporter. Someone said that with still a crown format, I got a comment that it would be better. I feel like it'll be a little bit better. I mean, I feel like it's like good later on in the game, but also at that point, Morty's just a straight up draw supporter. You're looking for draw supporters oftentimes in the early phase of the game. Yes, maybe one copy can be searchable late in the game, which could have value, but I feel like a lot of the time in the later turns, you're playing Boss's Orders or some other guesting card. Maybe you're like Arvening for a Prime Catcher, and then also you could be playing healing cards like Penny or Versatile Scenario, or Disruptive Supporters like Iono. Sure, Draw Supporters can be what you want in the late game, but you're looking for the more utility supporters versus the Draw Supporters are better early game. And this card's still not great early game, but also, I don't know. I mean, it's a supporting card. Some people like it, just when I don't personally love that much, but I know some people like it. But yeah, the Tooth Orton is kind of fun. We see Community Center. Once during your turn, if you played a supporter, you can heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon. That's pretty interesting. I guess it's just obviously it's here to heal from certain things. We also see Lost City. I don't know if it was in the other list, but it allows you to deal with certain of your opponent's threats. Maybe Radiant Charizard is an issue for Mimikyu, so you can Noivern and knock it out. I'm not sure if that's the use case, but you can Noivern and Lost City it. Yeah, I guess you can't really one-shot it any other way, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's it for the Ogrevine Overview deck. That was an interesting deck though. But then we also want to take a look at some of the other decks. I want to take a look at this Pidgeot Snorlax deck specifically. I feel like these Snorlax decks probably aren't anything too crazy. No, we see. I mean, this is like kind of interesting. We see a bunch of Mist Energies, a Sandshrew, and a Blood Mercy Luna EX, and Jet Energy, which is like kind of interesting, but nothing super interesting. Then we see this list does not really play anything interesting. It does play Neutralization Zone, which is like kind of cool. It has, potentially insane value, but a lot of the time it's hard to find that. But this Pidgeot control list, which is actually Pidgeot control list and not just Trapios in the disguise, plays wait, no, this is not the right one. Oh no, this is just like a normal Pidgeot control list. But it does play the Fighting Oropon and Mimikyu to wall stuff. 3 Mimikyus though, Luxray V and you have some like it's a Snorlax Pidgeot deck, right? So Snorlax Pidgeot I feel like is not a very common deck. It's not just Pidgeot control with like one trapping attacker like the Wellspring Master or Pontiac. No, we do see this 3 Snorlax here. We see Accompanying Flute. We see Erica's Invitation. Those are cards you could play in a Pidgeot control list, but we do see them like really highlighted in this Snorlax control list. Yeah, and then we do have the Bayonet Dusknoir deck. I will showcase this one real quick. You have Bayonet EX to item lock your opponent, so they can't play any items. And then you have Dusknoir, you set up, you like wait a few turns with behind item lock, and then you go ahead and knock out a bunch of your opponent's Pokemon using Dusknoir, and hopefully win the game on that turn. You have Radiant Alex, and we can do some pretty cool things there as well. I think that's about it for this tournament, but definitely some really. Oh no, there's one more deck I want to show you. Oh, I guess there's two. There's two different Arceus decks. There's Arceus and there's Arceus with Dusknoir. Arceus with Dusknoir is exactly what it sounds like, but yeah, you have that. But then you have Arceus with Armarouge, one of my favorite decks to play. I don't play it that often, but when I do, I really love it. Unless it doesn't set up, which it doesn't always set up. But you have Armarouge allowing you to move fire energy from your bench to your active. Then you have Magma Based accelerating fire energy from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon. And then you have some cool attackers. You have Delphox V for snipe attacking. You have Raikou V and Iron Hands EX, which are solid attackers, mostly played in Lugia. Well, I guess they're played in Miraidon a lot as well, but they're played in Lugia some as well. Iron Hands EX is played in a lot of decks, I guess. It's played in Lugia here, Miraidon, Chimpow EX, and Lost Zone as well, and other Armory's box decks. And then we see Monkey Dory as well for that healing, especially with the self-damage. You have Radiant Charizard as well, and you have Legacy Energy. It allows you to move any any fire energy from your bench to your active, but luminous energy and legacy energy are energy of every type, so they're both fire to get moved and presumably lightning energy to attack. Could be used as water, maybe Monk Nidori could be using it as psychic and also darkness at the same time. I don't know. But anyways, this is a cool deck. There are a lot of really cool decks that were played, a lot more than I was expecting. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, joining the channel, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.